Hi, what's up? It's been a while, since I've done a random squirrel. Um, if this is your first random squirrel video, that's not nearly as horrible as it sounds. I just walk around and talk about the shit that's on my mind. So, if that's not your thing, you might want to sign off. I'm not going to blow anything up or kill anybody or anything like that. It's just an interesting place to do some talking about stuff. And because it's a YouTube video, nobody has to listen who doesn't want to listen, so I'm not boring anybody who's not into talking about strange things in strange places. Anyway, I was bombing around in this world and having random races with online people and meeting the usual sort of, I don't know, it's not really a 50-50 mix. It's like more like 30-60, you know. You get 10% of the people that are purely their race and to drive, not be buttheads. And then you get 30% of the people that, for the most part, aren't really buttheads, but still once in a while think that kind of they assume you're going to be a butthead, so they kind of spin you out to kind of stop you from doing that. And I found a lot of those people, if you come back and you're not a butthead the second time, in retaliation, then they realize that you're not being a jerk, so then they cool down. Then the other 60% of the people don't give a shit. They just try and get you off the road as quickly as possible because that's kind of the only way they know how to win, or they think it's fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're having that kind of a race, yeah, it's kind of fun. It's bumper cars kind of shit, Fast and Furious, I guess. But it's kind of hard if you're just trying to have a straight old race, A lot of people don't appreciate straight races, But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again because that's kind of why I call this kind of series "Random Squirrels." Excuse me, because I get sidetracked down paths that have kind of nothing to do about the subject at hand that I wanted to start talking about, which was identity. Um, like just who people are, who a person is, who you are, who I am, and again, kind of pondering how true to form the personalities you encounter online are to the real life counterparts, who they are playing the avatar to. I mean, I generally just, as my own kind of personal way of doing things, is I always sort of tend to recreate some sort of aspect of myself when I play games, no matter who the character is. If I have the opportunity to make my own character, it always tends to reflect my current state of sort of appearance and I don't know, mood and personality. Um, and I wonder, other people, some people go right crazy and look all ridiculous and silly, and it's funny, and that's cool. I like that sometimes. I got my zombie outfit that I put on sometimes. Um, and the way they behave, well, may or may not be indicative of the kind of person they are, because in a space like this, the point is, in general, to be a criminal and to shoot and kill and and steal and cheat and be all kinds of nasty. So it's not generally the sort of space where you expect people to race, in an honorable fashion, to use kind of old-fashioned language. There's other venues, I suppose, like Project Cars, where if you're playing online, there tends to be an etiquette, of things you do and do not do, that will get you kicked out of a lobby if you're playing like you would in any general GTA race. And somehow or other, I got sidetracked again to racing games. But I guess I don't know. I wonder if they ever did finally get the technology to the point where they could accurately and reliably scan someone's face onto a character. And it's something that people have wanted to do, be able to do for a long time, to really personalize their their in-game persona, you know, to reflect themselves more accurately, to really place themselves in the role of the antagonist or protagonist or hero or the villain or whatever it might be. But I wonder if somewhere along the line, in the interests of accountability, somebody made it. I don't know, and I don't like the idea of rules and regulations forcing people to do anything really, because I mean, let's face it, in this world, there's no harm done in any real sense. You know, unless somehow they use this to hack into your stuff and do all kinds of nastiness that way. I don't know. I use consoles, so I don't really have too much of a problem with that stuff. But I wonder if people being able to put their actual identities into these places online, you know, at least in a physical way, like with their actual faces, if that would be advisable, or, you know, if it would be something that would cause more problems than anything else. Because in a way, people would be like, you know, that's their face. People would know what they look like. I mean, chances are, if you're a dick to somebody who's in Australia and you live in, I don't know, Alaska, well, you know, they're never going to bump into you on the street and decide to stab you because you were an asshole, right? Like, so there's that. But it's not too difficult to get into people's, at least, I don't know, maybe their email accounts or something. If you have their face, I mean, it would make it maybe a little too easy for identity theft to happen. I don't know. And for people to have things to happen to them, like getting swatted, which is a stupid thing, and I really wish people would stop doing that. I mean, cops are trigger happy enough in some places. They don't need to give them any reason to accidentally shoot somebody who's just playing an online game. Like, Christ. And I don't know. I don't get that kind of behavior. But in the same fashion, it might be good for people who are into, for some reason, causing grief for other people when they're in these spaces when everybody's just going there trying to have a good time, trying to, you know, have fun and to add a little something to life and do something that they can't do in real life, you know, whatever it might be. Whether it's they're genuinely a good person and don't want to be a criminal and shoot people, they can go in here and pretend to do it. Like, haha, it's fun. Nobody's getting hurt, you know. I think that's why there's this big upsurge in the whole popularity of zombies in the last while, and just media all over the place. Is it gives people an excuse to put themselves in the role of the human in the zombie apocalypse situation, and there's an antagonist to them that is terrible and dangerous, but in a way also manageable and faceable because they're stupid, you know, or whatever. And then they play the games that have zombies in them or whatever, and they can shoot these things and blow their heads off and stuff, and they're already dead people and they don't have minds or souls, so, you know, no harm done. It's like, you know, it's like video games in a way. And I've got myself sidetracked again. I get back to just, I don't know, the different people you meet online, and the identities they portray, and sometimes it's completely different from themselves, because if they're playing something like this where there's kind of a third person perspective, they want to have someone other than themselves to look at, you know, and I get that. I don't usually play in this perspective. I usually go, you know, first person because it's more immersive that way for me. But I figure that it gives you guys at least someone to put a voice to, a face to the voice or whatever, and it gives you something to look at, just other than scenery going by. But in a way, sometimes, yeah, I wonder if you perhaps ignoring the way a person's character might look, if you observe their behavior online, in many instances, depending on the context of the situation, it may be a much truer reflection of who that person is than the way they behave within the context of normal physical realities of society, where there are generally much more severe consequences for them behaving in a way that's outside of societal norms. And these people online can do whatever. They can grief people, they can gang up on people, they can spawn camp people. If you're a gamer, you know what that means, and it probably makes you want to gnash your teeth in frustration. um, what drives these people to do this? Why do they want to be assholes all the time, or why do they come into spaces like this and they see somebody's personal ride parked somewhere? And even though I think if you blew up somebody else's car and this comes out of your bank account, the damage for it, but they still would go out of their way to blow up somebody's car just to be a jackass, and then the person has to go get it from the, insurance company or whatever, and it's a pain in the butt. In a way that reflects a truer aspect of a person's inner being, because here there are no rules, there's no consequence for doing that, other than they get labeled as kind of like a dangerous player, and it's more valuable for others to kill them, which puts them in a state of conflict and having to shoot people, which is kind of what they want. So in a way, that's great. Kudos for GTA people for doing that in this game, because it gives the people who want to do that sort of thing the opportunity. And those who want to have a peaceful experience could just slap her into passive mode, and then they're invincible. So it's a great way that you can interact that way without having any problems. Kind of wound down here by the, where the hell am I? I'm observatory. Cool. I didn't really have a point when I started, I guess. I just sort of had a rambling thought about identity and who people are, and I don't know. In a way, too, it also has, because if you step into a different community, like something like the Dark Souls community, and I use that term to mean all of the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne games, where again, it seems to have a good balance of both good and evil tendencies in such a way that, and what I mean by that is that you can be the kind of player who participates in cooperative gameplay all the time, and you work with people and help them overcome the big crazy monsters and the terrible levels where everything's trying to kill you. Or you become the kind of person that invades other people's worlds and try to kill them. And yeah, in that you do meet people who are assholes and just invade you, and they're like super overpowered, and they just stomp you, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, that was fun. And sometimes you meet people who will let you see them coming, and they know they're the invader, but it's just because they enjoy dueling, they enjoy personal combat, and so sometimes they will allow you to run back to a position that's close to a bonfire, and they will fight you there. And if you die, there's not a whole heck of a lot of consequence for you, I guess. A little bit. It's kind of frustrating, but there's at least a sense of I don't know, it's honor, I guess. And the cooperative thing about it is that everybody who plays that game, whether they're invading or whether they're cooperating, has a genuine love for it and a genuine appreciation for anyone else who enjoys playing that game, because it's not for everyone. It's quite difficult to start. It has a steep learning curve. And I think because of that, it attracts a different kind of gamer than someone who would come to something like GTA or Call of Duty or any of those kind of games where the objective is basically just take out the other guy. And I'm not knocking that kind of an experience. I'm not trying to be an anti those kinds of games sort of guy. I'm not that kind of guy. I play some of that stuff too. I'm just not generally into it. Not that I hate it or anything. God damn it. See, random squirrel again. What the fuck was I talking about? Pardon my French. Oh yeah, so people get to cooperating, and I find in spaces such as that, from my own personal experience, is where I've gained random friendships from people all over the world. And sometimes it's kind of funny. You can kind of tell where they come from. I've noticed a trend with, at least, I think Japanese people anyway. It's hard to tell. I don't know Japanese, so I'm just kind of guessing by the names I see on their characters. But they'll come on and you can make your character bow. Okay, sorry, I hit the 15-minute mark there. But anyway, what was I saying? I bow back to them. It's a polite thing to do, and you can pick up on little cultural things like that. But more importantly than that, even playing things like this, or playing things like Dark Souls, or games like Journey, or Elder Scrolls Online, DC Online, anything like that, you can wind up being friends with people and having, daily encounters and excursions and events with them that you go do, and you can make real friendships that way. And for the most part, when people do make friendships that way, it doesn't matter what country the person's from. It doesn't generally matter too much what religion they may happen to be believing in or not believing in, or have been raised under. What's important is who they are and what their character can do and what they like about that game and why they like doing the same sorts of things, and they learn more about each other as people rather than as a Canadian or an American or a Russian or a South Korean or Iraqi or what, doesn't matter, right? And yeah, there's always going to be arguments and strife, and I hear a lot of racist crap online sometimes, and when people find out that somebody's from somewhere that's not popular, I guess, with their particular opinion, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to name any kind of examples because it happens from all directions. But for the most part, that sort of thing just doesn't really go on for too long because one or the other will always wind up just quitting out of the session, and everybody else will just kind of not, who is not an asshole, will just sort of kind of mute that person, and after a while they find themselves no longer in a lobby of people that want to listen to them. And you can sometimes wind up playing with groups of people that are just decent people, and it's the sharing of the reality they are in and being who they want to be, really, without any kind of judgmental crap going on that draws a lot of people to spend a lot of time in these places, because in the real world people can see their brown skin or their white skin or their shortness or their tallness or their prettiness or their ugliness or their thinness or their fatness or their whatever, or the fact that they're in a wheelchair or the fact that, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter when you're in these places, because if you create whatever you want in a way, so people don't feel threatened by that kind of thing, and don't generally tend to ask people what they really look like. It's not important, and the person's behaviors and the things that they say and how they act towards others is the only kind of guideline that is used to decide whether it's somebody that they want to spend time with online or not. So in that respect, it's helping. It's opening minds. It's allowing people to see the people behind the stereotypes that they'd been brought up to believe or been fed to by whatever media they're exposed to. It's hopefully the trend of it being a healthy, mind-opening kind of cross-cultural experience continues, and the trend of online griefing goes down a bit and goes away, hopefully altogether. I mean, ultimately, we all just come on here to have fun and to do stuff we can't do in real life. And even if that is trying to be a better criminal, well, fine. Be a better criminal. Just don't be a douche, right? I guess that's about it. I've run down. I really didn't have all that much to say anyway, and I've already gone over 15 minutes. So, have a good one. Be kind to each other. Later.